Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
My pleasure to be on.
Let's continue our series, Questions About the Quran. And I want to look at what is the Quran? Dr. Shabir, if someone came off the street and said, hey, dude, what is this Quran? What is it? How would you respond?
That's how they would address me. Hey, dude. Okay.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Okay. So what is the Quran? So very simply put, we can say that the Quran is a book. It's an old book. It's now 1,400 years old, and for Muslims, this is a book of guidance from God for all of humankind and for all time to come.
Mm-hmm. So if someone opens the book, what can they expect?
They can expect that, there will be stories similar to the stories in the Bible, and a lot of the teachings which are common with the Bible, like teachings about God, that there's only one God, there is a day of judgment eventually that we will have to arrive at to face up for everything we've done in this world. So that will entail accountability, answering for our crimes, so to speak, and of course also to get reward from God for all of the good things that we have been doing, and more of the mercy of God, even that we didn't quite deserve. And we will find also that there are teachings of a moral nature. How do we conduct our lives in this world in a way that is pleasing to God? How can we be fair to our fellow human beings? How can we take care of the environment as representatives of God here on earth? So teachings like these.
Mm-hmm. And I guess when someone opens the Quran, the first thing they notice is, oh, it's in Arabic,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that it starts from a different position than an English book, right? You open the English book and it's like this, and you read, and then but the Arabic starts from the right, right?
The opposite direction. Yeah, so that has to do with the peculiarity of the languages. Chinese is probably written Mandarin probably from top down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that much of. I tried to learn a little bit of Mandarin, but it needs more work. I didn't get past saying ni hao, and obviously I'm not saying that the way the native speaker would speak it, but I digress. So the Arabic goes from the other direction, so one has to just accept that as a peculiarity of the language. And by the way, the word Quran, like we say it with a specific type of sharp turn in the middle of the word, Quran, which grammarians refer to as a glottal stop. But it doesn't. If a non-Muslim is thinking, wait a minute, I won't be able to pronounce a word like that, so I won't get into a conversation about the Quran because I won't be able to say it right. I mean, you say it the way you're comfortable. Some non-Muslims have said Quran, and they will even spell it with a K, because it's not so usual in English that we have words starting with Q, except for the famous Queen. So you spell it the way that is comfortable to you. But if you can spell it with a Q, that is more in harmony with and closer to the Arabic pronunciation and spelling in the Arabic language. And as for the glottal stop in between, even some Muslims who speak some languages from around the world, like the Urdu language, for example, they wouldn't say Quran with the glottal stop in between. They would smooth it over a Quran, and they would say Quran Majid, a glorious book, a glorious recitation. And even among the known recitations of the Quran that are accepted among Muslims worldwide, for example, the reading of Ibn Kathir, this Hamza in the middle of the word, which I've just described as a glottal stop, is not pronounced. So they would just say Quran.
Mm-hmm.
And in many words in which there is this Hamza, they would not pronounce the Hamza.
Mm-hmm.
So the Quran then, yes, one has to get accustomed to the idea that it's written in Arabic, and the Arabic goes from the other direction. But then, of course, if a non-Muslim doesn't speak Arabic, why would they be opening the Arabic Quran?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when we speak about the Quran, technically we mean the Arabic text. That is the original revelation given from God, according to the Muslim understanding. But then you will have many copies of the Quran such that the text is arranged in two columns. In one column, you have the original Arabic, and then adjacent to that, you have the English translation, or a translation in another language, whether it's Spanish or Italian or some other language. So our non-Muslim friends would be interested in a Quran like that. Or maybe to make for a smaller volume, since you don't need the Arabic at all, you get a volume that is thinner, easier to handle, and it's just in the English translation. Nowadays, some English translations are available, especially the one prepared by my friend and fellow Imam, Dr. Mustafa Khattab from the Greater Toronto area. That's an excellent copy to have, to hold, and to read.
Can you talk a little bit, Dr. Shabir, about how Muslims use the Quran?
Yeah, so for Muslims, the Quran does many things. One is it's a book that is recited within our prayers. So as a matter of routine, Muslims have 5 daily prayers, and within these prayers, there are many postures and different recitations of different postures. But in the standing posture, we are to recite some portion of the Quran. Most Muslims would recite some short chapters of the Quran that takes only a few seconds to recite. And some would recite some longer portions. During the night prayers of Ramadan, some Muslims would recite the entire Quran, or at least listen to it being recited by a trained reader who is leading the entire congregation, meaning that they would recite a portion each night until it is the whole Quran is done being recited by the end of the 30 nights of the month of Ramadan. Other than that, Muslims would be reciting the Quran at their homes or in various circumstances as an act of devotion. Very often, a Muslim would wash him or herself and get into a mood of devotion, would sit devotedly, open the Quran and recite that as if one is engaged in worship, feeling that this is God speaking to us and we're just simply absorbing. But more importantly, the Quran is a book of guidance for us. It's a book of moral teaching. So we want to know, what must we do to please God? And that's God's instructions there for us. It contains stories of the prophets of the past, so that will be inspiration for us as the prophets were being opposed in their times, as they stood up for truth and justice and fairness. We ourselves should stand up for justice, truth, and fairness, despite the opposition, and so on. So we take our guidance from the Quran.
Thank you for that, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe. And please donate to support our work at QuranSpeaks.com.